We're live. Who all is here? Got a bunch of people here already. Looks like Lars was here really early. And Dan E. Boyd, and Unfinished Project, Wendy English. Big Mike's Hootie Barn was number 1,125th. How about that? Rabbit Transit Garage J, Twisted Mopar Garage Dennis says he's not feeling so well, but he'll be in the bushes hiding. That's cool. Pure Pontiac Garage John is here. JB's Little Shop, Dean Stevenson, NSB Custom Cars. I saw I want to say it was a police activity video from New Smyrna Beach just this afternoon. 16-year-old kid got in a skirmish on the beach and got arrested. Dean Stevenson from the other side of the world, Colleen Tebow, Chris 103 Customs is 23rd. Well, we have 24 in here right now, so. SP Custom Cars says shoe goo. Indeed. Danny Boyd LS swapped the fan in his bathroom. Well, that's pretty cool. Mater's Workshop is here. Dust Devil Garage, the One-Eyed Cat, Rick Salmon, Engine Light Garage. Says, well, hello there, everyone. Engine Light Garage is running in the No Name 500 right now. We just had a new addition last night. Sean O'Brien. So got a pretty good class. They're all trickling in there. Well, cool. We're talking about LS this morning. Thumper says, I'm here for a moment. Need to run to town. So when you're that close to the North Pole, Thumper, how does that affect your daylight? Man, Turbo Tom says all cars are dented because he had golf ball sized hail last night. Oh, man. Sorry to hear that. That's terrible. Brian Beeler, the automotive round-em-upper. Yeah, Thumper's is still kind of light out there. Not at all here. Mexican Spec is here. Danny Boyd says LS equals linguine and sauce. I can go with that. Mater's Workshop's got his omnibus greeting, which is cool. Unity Motorsports Garage, Andy. How's it going, sir? I showed Andy this morning. I saw a rumor that some channel said that I now have the Mission Impossible 318, and then someone else, which is a known instigator, this other guy said that I'm now projecting it to make 420 horsepower. And so someone sent that to me and said, hey, I know something you don't know. He was right. It's crazy how some of this stuff just gets created and fabricated, but I knew Andy get a kick out of that. But no, well, I do not have the Mission Impossible 318 at all. I did go down Saturday to check out the work that Charlie done, and it is amazing. Those heads are incredible. My Aunt Nancy is here, says good evening. Levi's Backyard Performance. How's it going, Mr. Levi? Levi, you've got 187 days, 3 hours, and 55 minutes to get things figured out. How's it going? Hey, my mom is in here. Well, cool. How is everyone? I've had an interesting week. I went with the client to an auction yesterday and bought an old fuel distribution facility. So that's interesting. Now we're working on the 128,000 gallons of requirements to get that all sorted out. So that's a lot of fun. Mexican Spec says on Bring a Trailer, there's a window van like yours with a three slant six and a 4-speed manual and 4. Well, now that's unusual. You could get the manual transmission in those vans, but you very rarely saw them. I've seen a few of the phone company vans in the junkyard as B vans. One was a Bell Telephone van. I thought it was pretty cool. Of course, it was before the days of just carrying everybody having a camera on their phone. There's Dented Dreams Garage, the first 2024 alumni of the No Name 500. How's it going, sir? Mater says, you know that most will wait till the final week to get started on building something. No, not the ones who will make it won't. For the most part, the people who can make it in 9 months could make it in 9 weeks, and the people who can't make it in 9 months couldn't make it in 9 years. That tends to be about the way it is. Chris 103 says, my first 76 Shorty was a manual. Yeah, they did. They put them, I don't know how late. I think I've seen manual on the floor in the vans up through the 80s, actually. Dean, no. I don't remember what channel it was. It was kind of funny. It's funny that it's to the point where two different people have created something that's not true to tell each other, and the other thinks it's true. That to me is pretty wild. Dust Devil Garage says, always take 100 days off of the orange paper. That's how you should feel. Hey, listen, Brian can tell you. Brian is one of the OGs as OG gets for the No Name Nationals. And he can tell you, he's been here for all of them. He's a good one to listen to when it comes to how to plan, how to schedule. He knows. Frizzell Racing running late tonight. Hello, sir. Bringing all the Ford to No Name Nationals. We're going to have a lot of Fords this year, I think. Functional Histories, I think whatever you say is true, John. Well, I can tell you this. I think what I say is true. I'm sure that's debatable. But, I mean, I try not to get out of my lane and make stuff up for sure. Mohawk is listening in while eating supper. Well, that's cool. What's on the table tonight, Mohawk? Rob's Rods and Streetcars. Also, do not talk to yourself. You may be a troll giving yourself false information. It's been funny in their world this week. What can I say? Shop 209 is here. So Shop 209, that Nova that was missing the front clip, is that what you're thinking of bringing to Sykeston? And I did see that Functional Histories is registered. Yes, I did. I got that from you. Of course, you had mentioned separately by email, so I was looking for it anyway. Thumper says he's got to drill holes in his radiator to improve the cooling for summer and change the winter air out of my tires. Now, that sounds like a plan. Pure Pontiac says, I would buy a Mopar if I could find one, and they don't want an arm and a leg. Okay, well, so in other words, you don't want to pay the local Mopar tax. Is that right, Pure Pontiac? That exists everywhere in the world except Kansas City, Missouri. Rob's Rods and Streetcars. How's John tonight? Well, if you're asking John Gilman, he's right below you in the chat. If you're asking me, I'm doing reasonably well, all things considered. No, he says, Chop 209 says, I have another project I'm putting a cage in. Well, that's cool. Good deal. Good deal. Yes, One-Eyed Cat. He emailed me and told me and got a receipt and everything. Brian Beeler says should watch Roundup. Yeah, if you're looking for something, Beeler does a great job of going out and finding these things. I really like how if you're not familiar with Brian Beeler's channel, he goes to like Marketplace and places like that and finds these things for sale, but he does them by groups. So, for example, let's say you're looking for whatever, 68 to 70 B body, right? He has that by group. Let's say you're looking for 68 or 9 Chevelle. He'll have that by a group. And he does groups by body style and that makes sense. The kind of cars that people would look at together when considering a purchase. I really like how he does that. So it's fun. I think it's fun, and kind of, rates and makes comments on them and based on price and that kind of thing. It's really neat. It's kind of like an interactive reading of the Auto Trader, if you will, and premieres them too. So there's a chat going at the same time when they're on premiere. Pure Pontiac says, I don't know about Kansas City, but their tax rate, yeah, it's not true in Kansas City either, but I guess it depends who you ask. Mexican Spec says, did I hear tacos? No. That's what Mohawk's got going on, though. Mr. Mopar's got a head cold. Yeah, I hear that. It's just about allergy season. Just about. I'm wondering how bad it's going to hit here. Some years I get it pretty bad. Some years I don't. Yeah, Dean Stevenson. I think that one was just funny in the comments. It's much funnier than the one that the first year of the No Name Nationals, we had a malicious former participant claim we were diverting the purse to a pro mod race in Illinois. I'm like, what in the world? Just pure nuttiness. Some of that stuff, but it's just funny. Cultured Rednecks has been trying to shake a sinus cold for weeks. Well, it's good to know that the folks in the warmer climate are getting it, so maybe we can prepare better for it here. Lars puts up the link to register. You can register. You can buy shirts, stickers. You can get the monkey bike rules. You can get the AHRA rule book, questions, lots of things to that site besides just registering. Check it out. I think Levi's talking about LS swapped Fox bodies there. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that became a thing. If I was going to go to do a Fox body, I got to tell you, if I was doing a Fox body, I really think I would do a cleaver. I think that would be as good as it gets. Basically, an engine like what Dallas has in the T-Bird. Or Frizzell there knows you can't spell fear without F-E, right? Isn't that what you're running? F-E. Shop 209 says LS swapped everything. Mexican Spec wants to know what Mohawk is putting in the tacos. Here we go. Let's get Mohawk's taco recipe if he wants to share. Five-door Nova 209. How many? So Shop 209, John. What years did they do the what they called the five-door Nova? And that was a hatchback, right? What years could you even get that? I don't know enough about those Novas. I think they're pretty cool. I always thought it was weird when you'd see the four-cylinder Novas because they'd have that crazy long fan shroud on the front of them. But I don't know much about them. I know 68 was the first one that was about the size of a Duster. You had the Chevy too before that. Mexican specs saying 85. Oh, yeah, but I don't know what that is. I mean on the 70s Novas. Shop 209 said if the Ford blocks weren't made of glass, a lot of Fox bodies. Well, the 351 Windsor block is much sturdier. The 302 block is very flimsy. 73, 74. Okay. I don't know why they call that a door. A door? I'm going to walk into that thing. Colleen says 3 to 4 hatchback Novas at junkyards near me. Colleen, when you say hatchback, do you mean like from the 70s and the glass went up with the trunk lid? Is that what you're talking about? Chugu says, I'm hiding from Buck. Is it safe in here? Maybe. Lars is always lurking, though. Heavens Mopar Scott. Heavens Mopar Scott, how is it going? 187 days, 3 hours, and 43 minutes. How is it going? Let me know when you want me to share out a video of the progress on the Charger. We're all pulling for you. Danny Boyd says Chevy Nova was available in hatchback two-door from 73 to at least 75 or 6. Okay. I will say this. If Shop 209 gives a year, he's probably right. He's Mr. Nova. I think Shop 209 owns about 7 or 8% of the world's Novas. Shop 209 says, I've never seen a 4-cylinder Nova, extremely rare. I don't know that I've ever seen one in person. I've only seen them in pictures. You know they exist. They were a thing. They had a really long fan shroud. They made them. But yeah, they were very uncommon. Novas were available with a 4-cylinder until about 1970. Something like that. I know the very first of that Duster-sized Nova, the one that 209's got the market cornered on, I know that those you could get with a 4-cylinder. 209s have a good memory and read a lot. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. Unfinished Project says spring is in full swing. Yes, it is. Mexican specs says some of them could have been swapped. Well, could be. That's true. Dr. Go says, missed your live with Vizard, Andy, Carla, and Charlie, but catching up later. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I just thought I'd go down and long overdue to go see Andy and Vizard anyway. Well, Charlie and Carla were visiting. I just thought that'd be fun. So, and Dr. Go, I saw a rumor today that now that's my engine, and then somebody else says I've adjusted the horsepower gas and all kinds of things. I thought that's funny. But no, it didn't come with me. But I saw all the parts. The parts are down there at Vizard's place. And people are talking about the heads, and rightfully so. The heads are beautiful, but the intake manifold and spacer and exhaust manifolds that Charlie did are really something else. Really something else. He said he's got better flow out of the exhaust manifolds than like your typical 1 5/8 headers, which is really amazing. And they're like glass. He has put a lot of work into those things, and the intake too, and the spacer. He's got a CNC spacer. It's about that high. Has Mission Impossible CNC'd in it. It's really something else. JB's Little Shop says, on another note, I got my floor shifter in now to hook up the transmission. All righty. Chipping away at it, aren't you? I think I see Scarlet the Four-Eyed Cuda's in here. Also running the No Name 500. This is Scarlet's year. Dr. Go said Charlie gave crazy time for projecting to teach all of us. Yes, he did. He has, I think, about 200 hours in that, which is just amazing. Scarlet's up to 210. Yeah, I will tell you this. The second half of your subscribers come much quicker than the first half. because now you're just getting out there to where the machine is recognizing you, putting you out. You'll get it. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly says new intake setup. Andy will want one. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly has the cross ram / tunnel ram. Oh my gosh. Danny Boyd says one could convert a 2-door Nova hatchback to 4. Oh man. I just. Nail Shop 209. I mean, when you really look at actually doing it, oh my gosh. Frizzell says then one day you hit a video that just takes off and subscribers start flowing. Yes, that's typically how it works. Ballast Resistor Garage, how's it going? Ron's Flying Toilet. Yes, Tucson Ron's Flying Toilet. I mean, those things, I remember reading about those about 30 years ago. Do you know anyone who runs one? I don't know that I've ever. Yeah, I take that back. I think I have seen one in person. Scarlett says the alpha version of the data logger is almost done. Everything but the wideband O2 and display are done. Then to design a circuit board. Wow, man, you're overachieving on that. Shop 209 remembers when Predator carbons were the hot thing. They look really cool. I got to say, they really look neat. And I always thought they looked great on top of that Allen Root aluminum 640 Ford and Bigfoot. They just look so great in that. But again, nobody runs them now for a reason. You can't get parts. They have that weird air door on them. I've never tuned one. Never worked on anything with a Predator. I think they are cool. If I saw one laying at a swap meet that was cheap enough, I'd take a chance on it. But I know that there were some guys trying to bring back the ability to get parts. But yeah, if you're gonna have a Predator, you don't want to have just one. You want to have multiples. That's how they look cool, right? No accelerator pump, or so. It seems like that's what I remember. I can't remember exactly. Again, I've only read about it. I've never worked on one. Cultured Redneck Garage says my subs really didn't start kicking in until I taking off on me. Until I started to show VW transaxle stuff. You got to find out that niche. Yeah, there's not much out there on VW transaxles. Like you and VW Darren and a few are doing it. If YouTube had been a thing back in 2002, I might have had some VW transaxle stuff on this channel, but it wasn't. YouTube didn't come out for a few more years. And we could have shown you what happens when you put the differential and ring gear in on the wrong side in the case. You get 4 reverses and 1 forward. I don't even so much as have a single still photo from that. Just, we didn't think about it then. Hard to beat out Holly. Twisted Mopar says, I would agree with that. I really like Holly. That Edelbrock VRS, they have really done an outstanding job with it, though. I can't take anything away from that. And I asked Andy if the VRS is going to make Holly up their game, and he says no. He didn't think so. He thinks Holly's just all in on the fuel injection and doesn't care about the superior carburetor anymore, which is a real shame. Dr. Go is asking in the chat, has anyone ever seen a black Nova with a gold side stripe package that had a shark in it back by the trunk? Was that a factory or dealer option? I haven't a clue. That's a 209 question if ever I've heard one. Twisted Mopar Garage says, I know several guys running flying toilets. Right now? Or like back in the 90s? They're running them today? 4 reverses and 1 forward. It's what you get on a Volkswagen if you put your differential, your ring gear in on the wrong side of the pinion, because it will go in the wrong side. You get 4 reverses and 1 forward. And that's actually exactly how you do it when you do a mid-engine car. But this was in a Beetle. It didn't work quite so well. Here's Max Wedge, Dick Dastardly's too much plenum or carburation. You guys be the judge. I don't even want to know what you did. Was that a glove box? See, I knew it. 209 says those Shark Novas were 76 and 7 in a dealer package only. Well, there you go. Every word of that is more than I ever knew about those things. Frizzell said, I just did a video on the VRS, and me and Andy had a great conversation about it afterwards. Yeah, I haven't even gotten to watch Andy's VRS video. Not yet. I'm sure I will. Data Dream says, my dad rebuilt a quadrajet, and it was quite in-depth, but works great. I never thought I'd see a functional one. A quadrajet? Yeah. In fact, if you have quadrajet questions, Dallas Brown is Captain Quadrajet. That is his carburetor. I mean, don't get me wrong. He knows a lot about other carburetors too, but he probably knows more about the quadrajet than anybody I know. Mexican Spec says, on my 2000 Durango, when I take it out driving, the overdrive off light will come on by itself. Should I worry? Is it jumping out of overdrive? I don't know. Is it just the light? I mean, you'll know if it's changing gears. Twisted Mopar says, pretty soon everyone will have to see who makes the best rheostat. Yeah, I could see that. Captain Quadrajet. I'm telling you, he is. He's Captain Quadrajet. Then a Dream says, I'm rocking Edelbrock AVS 2 on the Pontiac. Yeah, that's a good carburetor. My first 4-barrel was an AVS, the original Carter AVS. And learned a lot about that, and then went to a Holly after that and never looked back. But, I mean, it works. Nothing wrong with it. Mexican Spec says, I'm just driving it around town, so I don't know if it's locking out overdrive. Well, I mean, I will say in that case, I don't know why I would worry about it at all. You never, even in town, can get it anywhere to where you get enough governor pressure to get it into overdrive? Functional Histories prefers things that don't have carburetors and fuel injectors. I get that. Frizzell says the Quadrajet runs better if you flip the breather lid upside down. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Colleen sent me a picture of a Beetle with something bug on the license plate. Unity Motorsports Garage is my next shirt. Okay. Yeah, you can get the Casper shirt. You can get the Tunnel Ram Mafia shirt. I'm an analog guy living in a digital world. Andy, I tell you, I almost thought about putting that on a shirt a few years ago, that very thing. Because and I think it was over the Holly Sniper. So I made the shirt that said, I love breaker points. And that's the next thing. Because I am an analog guy in a digital world. This is the Shark Nova, or at least one version of it. You can see the shark on the front fender there. Come on, man, focus. There we go. Kind of wild looking. Mohawk loves the old Quadrajets before the EGR. There is nothing lovable about EGR whatsoever. Nothing. Yeah, he says it looks like an Aspen or Volare. Yeah, kinda. It does look a bit like an F-body Mopar. I'll give you that. In fact, you know what? Now that I see that, I bet you anything people with Aspens and Volares get mistaken for Novas, and never the other way around. Danny Boyd says, I love EGR when I restore its function. For what? What does EGR do except dilute your combustion gases with exhaust? 209 says, we used to have EGR throwing contests. Oh, there we go. Unfinished project with the assist. That's a good looking logo. I really like that. I kind of hate that they waste that on Nova. Twisted Mopar says, I'll bet forget working at GM, those carbs flooded over trying to get them off the assembly line. They were junked in. Yes, they were. Yep. I remember my dad had a Chevy Caprice wagon, and it had a Quadrajet, and it flooded, and just, yeah, I agree. I was like 8, 9 years old, and I remember that. Alastair Resistor Garage says the legendary 76 Dodge Dart McDonald's giveaway in the Chicago. It's legendary, but it's a Dodge Dart, and I've never heard of it. So that's okay. I'll look it up, though. Okay. Shop 209 says they were promoting the 75 Jaws film. Okay, right on. Well, that's cool. I like to know that. That's neat. I like that movie. Yeah, it would have been better on a Barracuda or Mako Corvette. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Max Wage Dick Dastardly says, I like thermal quads when they don't flood the engine when it's not running. Yes. Just Mopar Joe has landed in the chat. Joe, update us on your dyno contest, sir, since you're here. Frizzell says, in the 80s, didn't Shelby and Mopar get together and make a small car? Yes. The Omni GLH and GLHS. Little 2.2 turbo. They were quick. JB says, if you have a car with an engine light, get rid of it, people. The check engine light has been on in the CRV since, I bet I didn't have that thing a couple days, probably not even a week, before the check engine light was on. And it has been on ever since. I'll have had it 8 years next month, in a couple of weeks, 8 years next month. And the check engine light's been on the whole time. The gas mileage is fine. The plugs go way over 100,000 miles. There's nothing wrong with it. No misfire. I just don't care. I have a friend that the check engine light comes on. He will fret to no end and spend any amount to get that stupid light to turn off. Man, just get rid of the bulb and you'll be fine. You know what? I should add that to my list of things that shouldn't have been invented. Because I do have a formal list of things that should have been invented. I should put the check engine light on that list. I've already got legal paper. I've got padded toilet seats, instant mashed potatoes. There's lots of things on that list. I should add check engine light. That needs to be on there. Functional history. Is that a K car duster? I remember the dusters that were based on like the Acclaim, I want to say. That's a little later than the K car. Just clip the wire. Man, you have no idea how much those stupid things don't bother me in the least. Unfinished project says McDonald's restaurants gave away in the late 70s. It was yellow with a tan half vinyl top and a green and reddish tartan plaid inspired of. Oh, that's cool. Oh man, I want to see that. I love those plaid seats like that. No, no functional history. Where are you from? Where are you from originally? That's going to determine how much slack you get for this instant mashed potatoes thing. Laura says, I thought the check engine light wasn't on in my 96 Honda. Then one day I was playing the air drums on the dashboard. It popped on. Yeah. Danny Boy says, just remove the hood. You don't have to get out of the car to check the engine. Yeah. It's been on since. Exactly. Just press on through and get to where you don't notice. Maxwell just saying, little drill bit and drill the bulb. Well, if you didn't have the plastic in the way for the dash, I don't feel like putting an access hole there. Levi says, oh, you mean that light on the dash that's taped off? I literally told my friend that worries about that light the same thing. I said, here's how you fix it for good. I had it going for a little while. You take electrical tape and you pull off about an inch of it and cut it, and then you put it on the instrument cluster. Okay. Born in Columbus, Georgia, and raised in Detroit. So Columbus, Georgia, you needed to be there long enough to know that instant mashed potatoes are only for some apocalypse nutrition situation, right? Like no self-respecting Southerner does instant mashed potatoes. Detroit, yeah, because in Detroit, dry instant mashed potatoes are good for stopping bullets. I get it there. Or you could use them, I guess, for like if you need traction on a driveway in the snow. No, Levi, no. No. That's complete blasphemy. No, they are not. Turbo Tom says government sticking their noses into private businesses. That's what government loves to do. Tell me about that. Cultured Redneck Garage says my check engine light has been on for years in the Chevy Colorado. It's a Vince solenoid that doesn't affect anything. Yeah. The other thing too is you can have that turn on for taking off the gas cap while it's running. They just created one light that comes on for anything to get people to take their car in for service. Danny Boyd says, I was all proud the check engine light wasn't on in my 92 Mustang GT and remembered to look for it when I started the car. Turns out someone pulled the bulb. I put a bulb in and fixed all the codes. Don't go looking for it. I had no idea you people like to talk about check engine lights so much. Now I know yet another thing. It's music, lunch, and check engine lights. Plastic drill's easy. It also melts easy. Instant grits and sweet cornbread. No and no. No squared. That is correct, Dawn. No, Dennis. Do not make believe you're making instant mashed potatoes. I'm telling you, people. Instant. See, yeah, there we go. 209's a Georgia boy says, never heard of such nonsense. I'm telling you, there are people that, yes, people that eat those on purpose. I'll tell you where you can find them, 209. This is TV dinners, like those things from the 80s that would have the Salisbury steak, and they have them in there. And what's that horrible restaurant? Bob Evans. They have them. That's what they serve. And they put all this stuff in them to make young people who don't know better think they're good. I think college students eat them and think they're home cooked because they've never eaten real mashed potatoes. And whether or not pineapple belongs on a pizza, yes, that's the thing I couldn't remember, but you're exactly right. Whether or not pineapple belongs on a pizza, you are correct. That's the other thing. Buffdale Campo is here. Danny Boyd, he's all for the homemade mashed potatoes. I would agree with that. Max Wage Dick Dasher's got to pull a car in. It's outside alone in the dark. Well, get it in. Unfinished projects, because I know a thing or two, because I've seen a thing or two. He does know a lot of things. Levi, I hope you're on the mend. Mohawks is military instant powdered eggs. Not my jam. Danny Boyd says pineapple belongs on dessert. Okay. Saw Dizzy Izzy sneak in here too. We were rolling right along. Twisted Mopar Garage is asking Joe for dyno results. What update can you give us, Joe? Powdered white gravy is good. Well, I don't do gravy in any description, so I'm unqualified there. Well, Miss Brooke, if you're in here, you can give us a report about Levi's insufferable cooped upness. 38 VOS Racing. Pineapple belongs on the tree. Just leave them there. I like pineapple. I think pineapple's great. I think it's okay on pizza, too. I got to tell you, I really dig that Sharp logo. That's pretty cool. Pineapple Crisp. Still doesn't have dyno headers. Okay. Well, don't forget, there is a contest going for that on Just Mopar Joe's channel. Joe, if you want to post a link to that video, that would be great. Because not only is there a prize pack for Just Mopar Joe, but you're going to win a No Name Nationals prize pack as well. So Joe will put the link for that in here. Always fun to play along with whatever Joe does. Dizzy, I know. The gravy is a no thing. Gravy is just weird to me. Joe says, I'm still taking guesses. I'll get it. Cool. So it's still running. You still have a chance to win. Man, Mohawk really hates his pineapples. I love pineapple. What's wrong? Do you just need a sharper knife? Mohawk, do you like pomegranate? Unfinished project. The winner of contest says, I guessed I'm due for a new JMJ shirt. And Joe just put up the link. So if you get a chance, go check it out. Got a good contest to win. And good luck to you guys. 209 says, I'm hoping to have my engine dyno running next month. Going to do some cool engines with it. Well, that sounds really cool. What kind of dyno is it? Good biscuits, yes. Gravy, not so much. Functional history's guessed for Joe's contest, but not sure I'll fit. Well, you still guessed. We'll see if you win. See how close you get. Mohawk, who hates pineapple, says gravy should not have lumps of anything in it. I'll take y'all's word for it. 209 says it's a Go Power load cell with ancient Superflow data acquisition. Okay, that sounds cool. Joe says they got 1.5 inches of rain last night. If it'll dry up, he'll be at the racetrack on Sunday. Cool. Of course, I think they run year round there where Joe is. I see the Dougster is here. Dot matrix printer came with it. Yeah, that's some ancient stuff. So you take your dyno printer and you it's dot matrix, but is it tractor feed paper? That would be even better. You have to peel off the little pieces on the edge of the paper. Yeah. Is it really? Is it really tractor feed? Where do you even get paper for that? Well, did it come with at least enough that you don't have to worry about it? Blake sold some Mickey Thompson slicks for $300. Okay. Joe says Blake's a low down heathen. Dot matrix printer comes with a dyno. That is wild. Wrong English is here. How you doing, sir? Tractor feed, tractor beam. Yep. Says you can still get paper for it. It's on old Oki data printer. Printout only, no computer. Okay. I remember when I was in college, at least the first couple of years, you had a computer lab with a switch. You had the tractor feed printer and paper. There were no, you didn't have a mouse. You'd hit Shift F7 to print, and you had this big clunk switch to go between 4 computers. And you'd have to put it on your computer and then print it, and then out will come your paper. And it seems so ancient now. Dougster is that guy. Yeah, pretty much. Functional history says you can get the paper at Sears probably. I think there are still, there's a handful of Sears, I think, in Guam, a couple of territories. There may be 1 or 2 more in the United States. Pretty sure there's still one in the Long Island, New York area. And I think the one in Florida just closed. So there are maybe 1 or 2 more Sears in the United States, few territories, and that's it. And then it officially is just something that used to be. I like the Sears, the hometown stores, because it was just the good stuff. It was just Craftsman. It was just appliances. I think they should have done that years before. But too little, too late. Mexican specs, there's a Sears in Milwaukee. This is my house. Right. So there are still a few Sears in Mexico. That's right. Yep. That's cool. Colleen says, my boss just came back from a 3-week vacation in Guam. Okay. Oh, wow. Twisted Mopar says, I think there are still 1 or 2 Western auto stores left. That's neat. which makes sense. Is Roebuck still with them? Can't remember off the top of my head the deal with Roebuck. I've read that story before. It's interesting. They had an empire for about 100 years. Danny Boyd says, I think there's still Kmart's in Australia. There could be. Dizzy is he's guessing in Joe's contest. My computer's running pretty slow, so if I lose feed, I'll be back. Like you got anything good in the hopper coming up here real soon? Twisted Mopar, some kind of going off my engine a little. How is that coming, Twisted Dennis? What is that you're building? Is it a 5, 11, 14, something in there? Ballast resistor garage. Says Blake, we need a knee update. Just says it's a good day, Mark. Functional history says I'm discovering how much I hate the 70 Torino Falcon grill. Did the Torino Falcon didn't share a grill in 70, I don't think. Oh, man. Yeah, Blake told me about this. His computer restarted and lost the video he was working on. Man, that's always rough. Mexican specs is 70 and a half they did. Yeah, it always reminds me of when you do a comment and you have to put a lot of work into it, where you're writing something, like composing an email, and it takes a lot of work, a lot of links, that kind of thing, and then you lose it. You don't want to start over. Well, imagine that times 100. That's what Blake's got going on. So you'll get it. Mexican specs as a dot matrix printer would be an advancement in some offices here. I recently saw they are still using typewriters and not electric ones. With manual typewriters, you have to move the carriage over. It's pretty wild. Dakota says, howdy there, folks. Well, howdy, Dakota. I actually had a guy email me, and I think he asked Sand Mountain Mopars was the name of the channel, but it wasn't Hunter's channel. Sand Mountain Mopars just sounds like it. Danny Boyd says there were 2-door 70 and a half Falcons too. Yeah, I'm foggy on those. I'm not sure. Some of the government offices, yeah, I could see that. I'll tell you though, if you use a manual typewriter to type out something like an ID or something, that would be much harder to counterfeit than something done with, say, a laser printer. I mean, that thing would actually have some DNA from the keys that struck it. So I can still actually see some use for that. Yeah, I don't know. That's the first thing I thought, though, Dakota. Look at that. Joe's got a link. Sports Roof 68.9 Torino. All I know is when I see a Torino, I recognize it's Torino, but that's about it. I think I've ever driven a Torino in my life. Well, right, Mexican spec, but times change, and now everyone has a computer literally in their pocket that makes phone calls. Turbo Tom says they told us we have off April 8th for the eclipse. What? Who gets time off for an eclipse? Why would that be a thing? I don't have any idea, Mexican spec. I really don't. I had a friend had a Fairlane once, a really nice one. And it didn't age well on his ownership, and then he sold it, and I never saw it again. Birthday boy is here, Dakota. How old are you, Dakota? Were you about 15, 16, something like that? Dakota, I think Dakota literally was about 15 or 16 when we first met him and commenting on YouTube. It's been a while. Danny boy, do you remember the golf ball looking thing that had the letters on it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was an electric typewriter, though. But, yep. People work at Mitsubishi, they might get the day off. They still make any version of the Mitsubishi Eclipse if they still got that name around. Mohawk says, which Sand Mountain, I wonder? I only live 25 miles from Sand Mountain in Alabama. Okay. Wendy says, I just see Dawn's sticker behind you. Wendy, you know how long that's been there? You just now saw it? Exactly. Dakota was, I don't even know if Dakota had a driver's license when he was first commenting in here. Exactly. Yeah, right. It's been a while. Unfinished Project said, I heard something is going down after the eclipse. The government issued advice to have emergency food and water on hand. Okay, well, that's cool. I don't always take the government's advice, but I appreciate you sharing that. Dakota's 20. Okay. Right. Wow. 20. That means you were born in 2004. Danny Boyd says there's no sand here. You're what, in Cincinnati? Only sand in Cincinnati is bags at Home Depot. Mexican Spec said when he was 20, he was in charge of used car lot at a big Chevy store. Dakota said, I thought I'd be a lot further in life by now. You're doing fine. Yep, I remember that too, Colleen. You're much further now. Levi says the Ohio River has sand beaches, just not many places. Okay. Now we have an update from Heavens Mopar Scott here. He says, floor installed in the 68 Coronet goes out this weekend. Them pulling engine in 62 Valiant and dropping it in Functional History 61 Valiant, then delivering to Dead Dodge Garage next weekend. Okay, well, 187 days and 3 hours on the dot, no matter how you slice it. Dakota says, my parents are absolutely top notch. I agree with that. His parents are super cool. I've gotten to meet them. They're cool folks. JB said, when I was roofing back in the 80s, we took off for the eclipse, but I think the boss just wanted to go to the bar. Well, yeah, that sounds about right. He says, then the charger goes in to tear apart. Believe me, I'm doing what I can. Oh, I'm sure you are. Scott's going after it. I hear that. But you got the motivational clock, and you got a big cheering section, so looking forward to it. Mexican spexes might have something to do with being dangerous to be out in the rays during. I don't have any idea. I'm normally a little better with science than that, but it seems like something I would know, but I don't. JB on the roof with a perm and the wife beater tank top on. Yeah. Yeah, I can see it. Fixing the vent stack boots with shoe goo, right, Lars? Twisted Dennis says you got the clock hanging where you can see it. That's right. Danny Boyd says Johnny Paycheck had his own sound, his band with that harmonica. He was different. I read that when he was a guest star on the Dukes of Hazzard, he was just in, out, left, never socialized, nothing. Came in, played his set, took a check and split. YouTube services, we'll see, we'll see. The writer of esoteric comments for Rich. Heavens Mopar Scott's got the clock front and center. Right on. Boss Hog Celebrity Speed Trap. Yeah, right, exactly. See, you remember. Hoyt Axton was on that too. Yeah, probably. Trying to place the episode. Could be. Could be. I was at the Boar's Nest itself, the original George's Boar's Nest, several years ago. Oak Ridge Boys too, yeah. If I was going to move to that part of the country, and I do like it down there, if I needed to move and go to another geographic location, that area wouldn't be bad. Covington, Oxford, Georgia area. Would love to have the Boar's Nest, just live in it. That nice graded lot, just live there. It existed in 2017 and it probably still does. It's a cinder block building. It's got a church in it now. Yeah, I think Andy Griffith Show is probably number one for guest stars, but I wouldn't put the Dukes far behind them. Dakota says only passed through where the original Hazard County was. Well, what you're probably thinking of, Dakota, is the town square at Covington, Georgia. And there's a lot of that's as it was then, a lot of it. In fact, the where the courthouse is, they've remodeled the doors a little bit, but the sidewalk is still exactly the same. The square is still there. A lot, you can really see a lot of it there as it was. Yeah, the town square. JB says Tennessee is not bad with speed traps. Kentucky is crazy on Mondays and Wednesdays. Okay, I guess what part of Kentucky? What part of Kentucky are you talking about? Well, you're right on the border. There's Stephen Holtz just driving. Glad you could make it. Dakota said, love to have me a General Lee replica. Well, you can do it. You get the charger, and I can hook you up with some folks to help you make it real as authentic as you want to. I might know the two foremost experts on General Lee authenticity. Stephen Holtz, what have you got cooking? We haven't seen you in a while. I can confirm Stephen Holtz is registered for the third annual No Name Nationals, though. Functional History says, I'll make you a General Lee. Won't cost you more than $30. How much does Warner Brothers get of that? Dean says, I will not try another multiple choice questionnaire. Because says, I want a full size General. Well, I'll tell you, if you really do, if you get a Charger and you want to do the replica route, I can get you in touch with Travis Bell and Tom Sarmento. They would be able to really help you make it as accurate as you want to make it. I mean, how fanatical you get is, of course, going to be whatever you want to do. Bigfoots and Mopars. Mark, how's it going? Joe says, big old foot's showing up to race me this year, finally. You need to save up a small pile of money to do that, Dakota. Really, you do. You do. And if you're going to do a replica and you want to do a 68 or 9, because truthfully, there could have been as many, if not more, 68s than 69s. I think there actually were. Steven says, looking at the 67 Coronet and not sure on car number 2. I have no idea, Dakota. No clue. I'm not the guy that knows the prices. But I can tell you this. There were probably as many, if probably more 68s than 9s by the end of the run. And what they were doing is recycling the centerpiece out of the grills and the taillight panel. They were just pop riveting or sheet metal screwing those in place. But as far as all that other weird stuff, like the real specific stuff on the push bars and the antennas and the wheels and all that stuff, that we can help you with. no 70s were used. It would take more to convert a 70. You can do it, but it would take more to convert a 70. Well, Dakota, no 70s were used. There was one manual transmission car, one. And he was the big stunt driver, the big dude, and he died. He's the one who jumped it. And the shifter broke off in his hand. Did a train jump. It'll come to me. Dizzy wants to know if that's a 70 Roadrunner, I guess, that Joe's putting the quarter panel on. I don't know, Dakota. I don't know. That's a question for one of our B-body aficionados. But the fenders, the hood, the grill. Is that lower panel different? I don't know. Probably is. I think 70 and 69 Chargers share the taillight panel. I don't know exactly. I'd spend $25,000 on one right now. Dakota, you know how much that $25,000 would be worth if you were to stick that in a mutual fund right now and just leave it alone? Today's your 20th birthday, right? I'll tell you something that'll flip you out. If you stuck that in the average, just an average 10.16%, and even if you never paid another dime into it, and you did it for let's say just 30 years, just the age of 50, it'd be worth $500,000. And even at that, you could probably draw about $35,000 off of that and never even touch the principal. Power of doing that young. Send a message, tell them you will give them $100 if you can jump it like on the show. Well, there you go. So Dakota, there's a fella that I sold him a house a few weeks ago, and he was weighing out whether I wanted to do the house and pay it off in 30 years, or I said 15. He could do it 15. 15 is only a quarter of his income. I said, listen, man, if you do this in 15, it's $700 more a month, but you'll have it paid for in 15. Then if you continue to put the same amount of money as that house payment each month for another 15 in the same amount of time you would spend paying off that house, instead, you'd have a paid off house and $1.4 million. Both. At the age of 53. What are the odds he'll do that? Point, a dump truck load of zeros, and 1%. But we'll see. It's interesting to do the numbers. Mexican spec. I don't know. I know the other chat always likes to say it's not. I don't care. Everybody knows to take stuff for what it's worth. I'll stand by my numbers. Now, those are spot on. Now, Levi, I work for him, so he can do it however he wants to. I just want to make it happen however he wants. But I want him to know what the real numbers are. Yeah, I remember that guy. I remember that guy. I think his name was Gary. In 25 years, what will $500,000 be worth? Well, that 25,000 with no additional payments, 520, $112.43. If you stick an extra $500 a month in there, $1.689 million. So Dakota, if you take the 25 grand and you stick it in there at an average of 10.16 and then stick another 500 a month, you're almost $1.7 million in 30 years. For real. You can probably find him. I think it was Gonzo59. I'm sure I've got his email somewhere. Don't know if I trust all that stuff. Well, there's a lot of things you trust that are a lot worse. Like every driver you pass on a 2-lane road every day. Unfinished Project has put up the link for Sean O'Brien. He's our newest entrant into the No Name 500. Max Wedge Dick Dasher says, I have $1.4. Right on. That's a whole 140 pennies. Riley's Junkyard and Petting Zoo. At this rate, Scarlett, you're about right. But I'm casting a ballot for less inflation. And the link for Indirect Connection, of course. Levi says that the money will outpay. Yeah, right. It should. Actually, inflation, I think they say, is an average of about 4%. And 10.16 is national average on your mutual fund. So I think that's about right. So it should outpace it actually more than that, but you aren't going to draw that much. Nice stack of 20s stashed. Yep, something to be said for that. Buff Del Campo listening while he works in the shop. Yeah, I'm really not even kidding, Buff. Dakota. If you have $25,000 now, do you know how simple it'd be to be a millionaire when you're 40? Not even kidding. Unfinished Project puts up the link for Scarlet the Four-Eyed Cuda. Buff, what are you doing in the shop? I know you doing the Subaru thing and doing the front end on the Valiant. Yes, Levi is very conservative. The link for Mean Street Mopars. Unfinished Project says, Ken from Mean Street Mopars reminds me of Chumley from Pawn Stars. He just does. Cool fella. Because if you're a millionaire, you could have more than one 69 Charger. Millionaire doesn't mean what it used to by any stretch. I mean, millionaire literally could mean you own a townhouse in Washington, D.C. It's millionaires. It doesn't convey the same sense of wealth that it did at one time. Functional History says, I don't ever want to see another 70 Torino grill. If anyone sends me a picture of a 70 Torino grill, we'll show it to Functional Histories. And Dust Devil Brian is exactly right, because 40 seems like it is 1,000 light years away when you're 20. it gets here. Buff says the Subaru is finished. That's cool. Doing some Chevy Sonic stuff, whatever a Chevy Sonic is. Oh, I still think $1 million will be outpacing a garden variety 69 Charger. And Unfinished Project puts up the link for Dougster Wolverine Garage. You won't get that money if you get drafted and get killed. Well, I mean, you should have signed up for selective service, though, Dakota. I know I signed up forever ago. Well, I'll tell you what, regardless, if you have it, you have options. If you don't have it, you don't have those options. Hey, you're required to. Buff says I was a 20 about 10 years ago, and now I'm 70. Stevens says, beware of grifters, chameleons, financial thiever. They're out there everywhere. Danny Boyd says, they're saying they will draft up to 60 years old. Oh, who in the world knows? I mean, I know the whole 18 to 28 and 18 to 34 and whatever. They like my rifle skills, though. Well, what are your rifle skills? Sitting on a bench on a steady rest? I don't know. Their training's got some goofiness to it. In fact, last guy I talked to that went through basic training says that what they're doing now, and I think this is absolutely nuts, they want the zero on the rifle, not from the first intersection, but the second intersection. And if you know what you're talking about with sighting a rifle, that's crazy. So when you shoot an AR-15, your sight is, I think it's 2.5 inches above the center of the bore. And so when you get 50 yards out, I think they use 40 meters in the military. When you get 40 meters out, the bullet should cross where that sight is. But then it goes up to about 3 inches over, called maximum ordnance. Then it comes back down and it crosses back through it, I think, around 240 meters. They want to zero it there, which is nuts. I know nobody who does that, except according to him, that's what the military does now. I don't know how those guys are hitting anything doing that. I go a step the other way. I actually zero mine at 25, 1.25 inches low. Dakota, with the leadership we have, yes. No, you're not, Lars. Your head's screwed on really straight. Joe said they finally started back PT test for enlisted soldiers. My neighbor started jogging again. JB says Lars had a midlife crisis when he met me. I can see that. Yeah, the rifle class I teach is 0 to 300. And it is not sitting there on a bench with a scope and all that stuff. It's pretty taxing. T's Good Time Garage says, hi, y'all, from the strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where today got called on account of rain. Got one hit in at least. Well, hopefully everything will dry out and you can make some more passes. I've been to that track once. Wasn't open. It was had it for Christmas lights. They had decorated Christmas lights. So got to drive out there for that. So I've seen it, but never when it was over racing. And I don't think they had the 4 wide then either. No scope at 300 yards? No. No. You should be able to hit a man-sized target at 300 yards without a scope. You do have a red dot. Unfinished Project said it's not about winning or losing. It's about how long they can stretch it out. No, dude, you should be able to make a fist-sized group at 100 yards at least and still get a man-sized target legit at 300 yards without a scope. Mexican Spec says I was in Vegas before that track existed. Yeah, I don't remember when they put it in there. I've been there a couple of times. I bet. It looks like a great facility, T. Yeah, JB's like, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, there's a lot to that. I haven't taught a rifle class in a while. Last one I taught, we spent the first hour of class working on establishing natural point of aim and that kind of thing, which goes so far toward the rest of the class being able to hit what you're aiming at. Danny Boyd, actually, the glasses probably wouldn't help you at all. You focused on the front sight anyway. The better you can see, the more likely you are to look down range and put your focus where it shouldn't be. That's just in general, especially true with pistols. Too wide for brackets. Yeah, I never liked four wide racing anyway. Iron sights never need a battery. That's true. But what you do is you set your red dot up so that it co-witnesses on the irons. So you've got it either way. That's the way I like to set it up. I don't know, Dakota. It's not that high tech. I think they're mostly, what is that optic they use now? They're using something a little more advanced than an aim point with a little bit of magnification, but nothing too sophisticated. Yeah, the military like giving people shots. Yes, they do. Inject everybody with it and see what happens later. Unfinished Project, were you shooting at a Volkswagen Rabbit? We have no idea what they're giving people, Dakota. We have no idea. We'll find out later. We're already finding out it's giving people heart problems. Joe put up the link for T's Good Time Garage. Danny Boyd says eggs are better than a bunch of processed crap. I'm just not into eggs. I don't like eggs. T says I'm in good company. Cool. Well, we're glad you're here. Dakota, would you even then? I mean, I don't know. I would rather not be one of the first people, and I wasn't, and am not. So we got a few years now of everybody else being the guinea pigs, at least those of us who didn't jump to get that thing. Unfinished project says for your Ford fix, there's the link for Frizzell Racing. Stephen Hoth says, still looking at picking up the CUDA from Kevin in May. Bought that car, was it a year ago now, Stephen? Yeah, if you come up, holler. Like to see you guys again. Almost. It's a factory sunroof car, isn't it, Stephen? I believe it is, if I remember right. Danny Boyd's given a recipe for a hangover meal for whatever that's worth. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly hunts with a flintlock. That's old school. Yeah, factory sunroof car. Yeah, that CUDA is just about 40 miles south of here. So whenever Stephen comes up to get it, hopefully I'll go down and see those guys and we'll load it up and see it off on its way back to Texas. Well, to Texas, back with Stephen. The unfinished project says, I always run when I hit deer with my flintlock. Yeah, I think this is kind of like reaching the weird hour now. We're talking about hunting deer with flintlock. Yeah, see, and it's just I say that. Danny Boyd says I hunt deer with a Toyota Corolla. So there we go. And old McDonald talking about Haitian immigrants coming to Florida who are cannibals. See, I called it, and there we go. Yeah, I'm not worried about Haitian cannibals. One thing I always thought was amazing, though, is the Somali pirates can hijack these big commercial ships. Unfathomable to me how those ships don't have one person with a rifle. As long as it takes those ships to catch up to them, as much warning as they have, how hard would it be to stop that attack? And yet they can do it. It just blows my mind how simple it would be to defend against that. I mean, they have these saltwater logged AKs on these pirate ships. You could have, one good 308 fixed 10 power scope. All you need, reach out and take care of that threat. And instead, I bet they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars studying the situation to do nothing about it. And then they have these spray cannons on the boat. Well, that's great and fine, but look how close you have to let people get to you with rifles. That's dangerous. Yeah, Stephen Holt says some do and those don't get hijacked. Well, yeah, and some cars are armed and those don't get carjacked too. Yeah, it's amazing to me the people who've never learned anything. Just Mopar Joe says John Cope approves of ketchup on a hot dog. It's not April Fool's just yet, Joe. I don't believe in warning shots, Danny Boyd. That's a lot of better ways to warn than a shot. Although I believe the Ohio Supreme Court has just made a crazy ruling on warning shots, so I have yet to read it. Yeah, talking about flintlock, real flintlock with a flash pan and all. Okay. So, for those of you wondering, just a flash in the pan Could be that. Could be photography. I don't know where it came from, but yeah, we're talking about igniting powders, where that saying came from. Danny Boyd says his ma says Ohio messed up their tax forms for this year too. Okay. Yeah, flash in the pan. Ignites doesn't trigger the main charge, correct. Dizzy gets a 3-inch group at 100 with his 50 caliber black powder. Okay, that's cool. Stephen Hodes says a company I worked for had a locker with a bunch of 12 gauges in it. Were they the Marine shotguns that were stainless? First trip through pirate waters, a boat headed out to intercept. They walked outside, around in the air. Never confronted again. Yeah, I can see that. Big Mike says passivity is killing our country. There's a lot of things killing our country. It's unbelievable the things that we have let go on. Well, I bet it's interesting trying to shoot from a boat, though. That's got to be interesting. Uh, Dakota says people voting Democrat are killing our country. I won't disagree with that. Unfinished Project says live and let live may not have been the best choice. Well, we're paying for that, for sure. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly had a 54 caliber Renegade Thompson center. Flintlock at night. I don't think I've ever shot a flintlock. I've just shot percussion cap stuff before. Unfinished Project says people that think there's a difference between Republicans and Democrats are killing our country. There's a difference. It's just most people don't know what that difference really amounts to. I mean, by and large, they want a lot of the same things. Heavens Mopar says all that's necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do absolutely nothing, which is true. Union cops are no help. I think unions themselves are no help. Unions used to try to keep coal miners from getting killed and starving, and boy, they're not where they are now. Dizzy Izzy says Bible teaches passivity, turn the other cheek, not name calling in anger. Turning the other cheek is called how to lose a fight. Be careful what you align yourself with. I agree with that. And you are who you hang out with. I hang out with you guys. I'm one of you. Max Wedge, Dick Dasher is a group of 3. I'm aiming in the middle. Go for the one closest to you or the one that's presenting the greatest threat. Dakota's timeout says the last Republican president we had a lot better economy and immigration control. I agree, and that's why I'm voting for that same person again in November. Unfinished Project says God doesn't turn the other cheek. Reread your Bible. No, he doesn't. That will be true. Evans Mopar says, need to read the Bible again, Dizzy. True, but however not true. One-Eyed Cat says that flintlocks love cold weather. They love low 20s. Ignition is instant. Didn't know that. That's interesting. Well, all I know is Nehemiah 4:23b. We carried our weapons with us at all times, even when we went for water. How's that? Dakota's got the comment of the night right here. If you don't have a sword, sell your rusty car and buy one. I'm actually wanting to do a training class somewhere maybe in Middle Tennessee sometime this year. Been talking with a couple of folks I know about it, so we would certainly open that up to our YouTube friends if we can get that to fruition. That's because when it's 20, it's dry. Yeah, I can see that. Mexican Spec said, I think that's a do as I say situation, the turning of the other cheek. Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding anybody who wants to do that. Sword training? No. I'm not qualified in sword training. Yeah, NSB. Yeah, I'm wanting to do that. I don't know exactly what it would be. I could do half-day classroom, half-day range pistol, which is the most popular. I could maybe do full-day range, but I got to tell you, that's a lot of work and a lot of rounds. It basically would be the first part of the advanced pistol class and the second part of the beginner pistol class. We could go all the way up to a full pistol class, full rifle. I mean, there's a lot we could do with that, depending on what we want to do. Probably just do the regular beginner pistol class will be just right. But I don't know. We haven't gotten quite there yet. There's sword fighting. Danny Boyd said, my dad had some old military swords, but I think Ma sold them off. Oh, man, that's a shame. Old swords are cool. I knew someone that had a samurai sword that was hundreds of years old. Now, Dizzy's talking about doing something in Paris, Tennessee, which is not far from what I think is one of the greatest training schools in the country. That's near Camden. Our friends at Tactical Response, great people. Yeah, that could be a possibility, Dizzy, but Paris that's a little more than 2 hours outside of Nashville. Unfinished Project. This whole thing is just worded so weird. I'm just not even going there. But for those who are listening to this on replay later, which I know a lot of folks do, Unfinished Project says, I used to have access to a cat named Pistol. He was wild. Thumper says, sell a car is blasphemy. If you need a sword, build a forge and make them from old leaf springs. There you go. Heavens Mopar says, just because we are Christians don't mean we are spiritual doormats. Oh, man, what some people just don't even realize. Functional History says, any idea where the Marine Corps sword came from? Why they were that particular type of sword? No, that's an interesting one. Plow blades, yes. Those who beat their swords into plowshares will plow for those who didn't. That is correct. What state was that? Illinois, where they've enacted some kind of AR-15 ban and said the people had to register what they had, and less than 1% of people did. Big Mike has some verses here. If you'd like to check them out, you may. I don't know off the top of my head what those are. Isaiah 5:20 and Romans chapter 10. I do know Romans 8:18 was on Heavens Mopar Scott's clock. Thumper says, why Marines have that sword? It is best at cutting crayons. Okay. Oh, Thumper's right. Lawnmower blades are spring steel too. Yes, Danny Boyd. I learned that the hard way. They sure are. Functional History says it was a sword awarded to the Marines that fought on the Barbary coast by the Sultan or the leader of the Moroccan people during the Barbary Wars. Okay. Interesting. Where's old Brian Cabral to help us with Marine Corps trivia when we need him? The guy who we can't determine whether or not he's a 20-year E7 gunnery sergeant or ever even served at all, and only has pictures of other people in service. Where's he to help us with this when we need him? I know a few of his plants are watching. Why don't you ask him? Thumper's favorite is Proverbs 25:24. Okay, I don't know what that is off the top of my head. Thumper says, I have 3 pictures of me in uniform. Yeah, but your pictures of you in uniform are actually you. He's with his crew, I bet. Yeah, I bet. I'd say Mr. Swinger One's been furiously taking notes, you know. Well, I'm all for the freedom to have guns or not, old McDonald. I mean, it's a free country. If you don't want to have guns, you don't have to. But I prefer to be an active participant in my own plan for self-protection. So rather than sit here and beg politicians who care nothing about me to try to control the other 7.5 billion people, what I can do much more effectively is control myself. Thumper says Proverbs 25:24 is better to live on a corner of the roof than to share a house with a quarrelsome wife. Yes, that. You folks paying that tax, more power to you. B&R is here. Oh my gosh, B&R. We've been talking about weaponry and firepower and all kinds of cool dirt-tastic stuff, and you've been missing it. Me too, Danny Boyd. Countries never functioned better than when the populace was armed. Speaking of arms, there's Tony's Hot Rod Garage, the owner of Gunslinger Graphics. Cabral's always exposed to dangerous chemicals. He smokes like a chimney. What are you talking about? Mohawk says it's a Reaper-class sword with a single edge, mainly used in the cavalry where a bayonet was unpractical. Okay, that's cool. That's cool to know. B&R's been buying new boomsticks and freedom seeds. Okay. I like planting freedom seeds with the AK. It spreads them farther. Tony says to Scott, your shirt is live in the website. I believe that's the design I saw for Heaven's Mopars, right, Tony? That's cool. I saw the design for that. That's neat. Turbo Tom is talking about parental accountability for these things. Yeah, I read a little bit about that, not enough to know exactly what's going on, but yeah, I read a little bit about that. Looked like there was an element of covering for it, and deception on that too, not just access. But again, I haven't read enough about it to really know. The case that I was watching was here last week. The armorer for the movie Rust that was being filmed with Alec Baldwin, that armorer Hannah Gutierrez, completely negligent in her job. Yeah, she got some time over it. She got convicted. So it's going to be interesting to see how Alec Baldwin's trial goes. But man, it was a circus of incompetence. People who knew absolutely nothing about guns or armors. Evans Mopars, what pistol would you recommend to conceal and carry, John? Glock 19. All day, every day. Indirect Connection says, just got home. Well, hello, Jason. Tony likes a SIG P365 IWB, well, IWB holster naturally. If I was going to make one recommendation to do it, do a Glock 19. Go online to nsrtactical.com and get you a Kydex holster from Dave inside the waistband with soft loops, and you'll be a happy camper. Yeah, they're bringing a case against Baldwin, but now that they've convicted her, I'm sure what they're going to do is pile on and say, well, we've already convicted the guilty party. We've convicted the guilty party, and try to deflect from Baldwin's. And I do agree a little bit that even though Baldwin pulled the trigger, Baldwin was not trained in that, and it truly was the armorer's responsibility to ensure those were props. So I think it's hard to charge Baldwin as a negligent operator when he's an actor. Yes, Scott, that is the correct answer. Any generation is fine. Just it's really hard to go wrong with any of them, to tell you the truth. Although I personally like 3 and 4 better than 5, but 5 is great. They're all great. They're all great. You can't really go wrong with any of them. Tony, will do. Unfinished Project says, read about Eli if you want to see God's thoughts on parental accountability. Okay. Baldwin was holding the gun. Baldwin was pointing it in the direction of Helena Hutchins and pulled the trigger. I don't know that he meant to, but again, remember, he's not trained as an operator. He probably just had his finger on the trigger and probably had the hammer back, and it's a single action revolver, so you know it takes nothing but a sneeze to fire it. So the armorer did need to be accountable for making sure those guns were unloaded in that protocol. But they had a DEI hire some 20 24-year-old or what, or 27-year-old girl with purple hair. That was the armorer. She had no experience other than her father was an armorer and working on a set of one other movie before that. And that was her experience. And anyway, that's what they hired. That's what they got. And there was a fatal accident because of it. And that's a shame. That should never have happened. I know a guy that does that for a living. If they'd have hired him, it would never have happened. If they'd hired me, it would never have happened. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I actually watched the details of the case. Court TV was covering it. Andrew Branca was covering it, and it was crazy, the negligence. No, there were no protocols put in place for the weaponry whatsoever. It was a disaster. Oh, they had 2 negligent discharges before the person got shot. 2. There were people quitting the set for safety reasons before. Why in the world did they not say, hey, we got a problem here? No. Everybody just pressed on and laughed about it. It was funny till it wasn't. Anyway, I digress. Lars has put up the link to our latest entrant into the No Name 500, Sean O'Brien. Sean O'Brien, he works the track. Knocked off my empty bottle there. Sean O'Brien works the track at St. Louis, by the way, I believe. BNR says, depend on your situation. I'm here to tell you, it's hard to beat a Glock 19 for every situation. I mean, yeah, there's not everything is the right answer, but Glock 19 is as close as you're going to get. Or 17. I like 17 just fine. It's about a half-inch longer in the barrel, a half-inch longer in the grip. 19 is a little smaller, but you can still get a full grip. And you're only getting a grip with 3 fingers on that grip anyway. So if you go to something like a 26 or smaller pistol and you're giving up that ring finger, that pinky, man, I don't want to give up a third of my grip. Well, Mexican Spec, I certainly didn't have enough virtue points for a job like that, but if somebody wanted to get me on a short contract to be an armorer, I would be glad to do it, sure. I've got plenty of good resume to do such a thing, but I'm sure I'm politically ineligible. What are you, you're trying to carry appendix there, Thumper? Yeah, it's not what you carry, it's how you shoot. Well, it's true, Dizzy, but why would you ever leave the house with a self-imposed handicap? They would see through that, Dakota. They would see through that. I couldn't get enough virtue points with purple hair. No, Baldwin shouldn't have, but I will say this. If you want an actor to act and you don't want them to act as if they're a trained operator, I can understand not wanting to train them. I know a professional armorer, and he said that on one movie, they wanted to train one side to act like they were true operators, and the other side needed to act like criminals. So they didn't want the one side to learn the things that competent trained operators do, like how they grip, where their finger is, how they manipulate the muzzle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because they want the one side to have that. But if the other side has that and starts doing that instinctively on camera, it doesn't come off authentically. So I get that. And I can understand not wanting to have that kind of training in place on a set for the sake of art. I get it. But man, does the armorer ever have to be on his toes to do that? Talking about literally life or death. And in this case, we saw how bad it can be when that doesn't happen. Tony's Hot Rod Garage, you going live tonight? Tell them whatever they want to hear for a good paycheck. I get it. I'm just sure that No live tonight? Well, we will stick around for a few more minutes. It's lively in here. Got a lot of folks in the house. Keanu Reeves, though, has a lot of training. He's actually gotten a lot of outside training, so he's a little different situation. He's actually a really good shooter, too. He shot some matches and such. Baldwin makes oil filters, yes, and they make oil filters that don't drain back. They're good filters. Thumper's talking about the inter-service rivalry. Oh, I got picked up on that. That's funny. There's a sentence that you'll never hear. I didn't know he was a Marine. You won't hear that sentence. No, I don't know about that, old McDonald. You need blanks to make a gun handle. If you're doing a close-up on something firing and you need it to fire in someone's direction, you need it to have recoil and everything, you need that. So there is definitely a place for blanks in Hollywood. But again, you know how dangerous it can be shooting somebody really close up with a blank, too. That could be really bad. Unfinished project saw a Baldwin filter today on the Cummins. Yeah, they're good filters. Herb McCandless likes the Baldwin filter. He was doing a seminar at Carlisle, and he mentioned the Baldwin, and he said he likes that, and he likes the Wix filter. They're both good about not draining back. Chris 103 Custom says we carry lube refiner. Okay. Oh, yes, you are correct. Once a Marine, always a Marine, right? I'd like to know what it was Cabral actually did, if he served at all. I know he says E7 gunnery sergeant, but tell you what, he's definitely not that per his information he's given. So Lars has a used wrench. It was recycled. Functional histories. If I told you a story that actually came out of Fort Bragg in training, you just wouldn't believe me. One of the craziest things they do in yeah. Thumper says, I have a surprise for everyone. My shop is no longer packed with stuff. That's cool. Hopefully that means that there's a build getting ready to happen. Tony's Hot Rod Garage says Corral's a pathological liar. Well, about everything else. Also says he has an engineering degree from San Diego State University. That's an interesting one, too. Maybe he does. I don't know. I never had any real reason to disbelieve any of this stuff until it was one thing, and then it was another thing, and then it was another thing. And that seems like now it's everything. So now it's like, does he say anything that's true? Mr. Swinger's pencil's on fire. Writing that down. I remember that, Thumper. That was crazy. A kid got expelled from school for biting his Pop-Tart in shape. Yeah, I remember that. That's just the height of nuttiness. I remember taking an AR-15 magazine for show and tell when I was in grade school, and nobody cared. Times change. Dougster says elderberry wine is tasty and smooth, packs a punch like Mike Tyson. Who here is wanting to see Mike Tyson, Jake Paul in July, if that'll actually happen? I'm so not sure. If the Mike Tyson that just says, I'm good, I just wanted to get a paycheck, if that Mike Tyson shows up, Paul can win. If the Mike Tyson that says, I'm going to land something in the first round shows up, it's over. Dakota, in Virginia, you can absolutely legally do that. You can leave a rifle in your vehicle in a school parking lot by law, in a rifle rack, in your truck, legally in Virginia. And I have seen people arrested for it, and it's very clear in state law that that's legal. I think it'll be real if it happens. Danny Boyd says Mike Tyson's an old man. He's almost my age. I think Mike Tyson was born in '66. He's 58. But man, he can hit hard. He's got a lot of power. I bet you at his age, he still has incredible power. I'll be curious to know how Jake Paul is going to handle it. I'm sure that the tactic would have to be to just go out there and try to never get in close and wear him down and test the conditioning. That's got to be. And so, yeah, I think if the thing goes over a couple rounds, it's over and Paul can win it if he can manage it like that. I think that would do it. But if he really wants to get in there and swing with Tyson, I think he's going to lose. I think Tyson's going to show him what time it is. But who knows if it'll actually happen. Tyson versus Paul is like Conor McGregor versus a 5-year-old. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. Tyson's 57. Yeah, I guess he'll be 58 this year. Yeah, right. Mexican Spec says, I don't understand the anti-gun stance in schools. After they graduate, you want them to join the military. You know what? I quit trying to figure that out long ago. I wouldn't want to get hit by either of them, Dakota says. I agree with that. That seems like a natural fit, Lars, for Tyson to be the spokesperson for Tyson Chicken. Danny Boyd says you'd see guns in truck racks in schools. Yeah, that is specifically carved out as legal in Virginia law as an exemption to the prohibition to guns in school property in Virginia. And yet we saw some students get arrested a couple of years ago for that. I'm sure it got quietly dismissed. I think the school should have been sued for that. Big Mike says, I really hope that fight happens. It'll be interesting. I only want to see it happen if Tyson is going to take it seriously, because he's going to get a windfall of a payday. So if he's just there for the check, nah, not really. But if he really wants to tune Jake Paul up, then that's going to be a good one, because Paul will definitely bring it. See, I really thought that when he was on the way up taking these fights, I thought that Tyron Woodley was going to be, okay, we're done playing games. You got lucky a couple times, kid, but that's where I thought it would end. No, I was wrong. I was surprised. He really exceeded my expectations. Well, McDonald, I hope not. I hope we don't see low punches or ear biting or anything. Like I said, though, I kind of think it's going to be trying to. I would think Tyson would want it to be short because he's the one with the power. That's why I'm hoping it doesn't protract past a round or two. Paul needs a helmet that covers his ears. I don't think it'd make any difference at all. I think as strong as Tyson is, he could knock the guy out if he was wearing a Snell helmet. I don't think it'd matter. Got beat by a real boxer. He did. But also a real boxer who was much faster and younger. Tyson's he's still pretty fast. I saw him working on the bag here last week. It's like, man, look pretty good. Of course, it's selective, but right. Yeah. 58 sometime this year. Right. Can't end in the first round. They got to get commercial money. Well, Lars, I remember Tyson's early fights. Wow. They were not long affairs. Mike says power's the last thing to go in a fighter. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. No, I get it, Mexican Spec, but still, I get it. But helmet or not, I'm sure we can look that up, Dougster. Man, he was on top of the world, 20 years old. It all just went on a wild ride. I think one of the funniest interviews was this guy that I can't remember. It was some Canadian TV station. It was in Toronto, and Tyson was going to meet with Mayor Ford. And Mayor Ford, he got some kind of allegations of some kind. I don't remember exactly what happened, but the interviewer wanted to bring that up on Tyson just out of nowhere, just I guess for sensationalized. And Tyson just started burying the guy. FCC violations and all. And he looks over at the reporter, not the reporter, the interviewer, and says, "What are you going to do about it?" They finally canned the interview. And that guy so deserved it. He was being a jerk. Yeah. He did. Evander Holyfield said, "Yeah, he did. Took a chunk out of it." Never seen that. There's a clip from that though. That movie, I think that Cope likes. That movie, The Hangover, if I recall. It's the movie I think it is. Was it 97? I don't know. Sounds about right. In Vegas, maybe. Wow, gosh, has that really been 27 years ago? I mean, I'm sure it was somewhere in there. Mayor Ford got busted buying crack. Yeah, something like that. I couldn't remember exactly. I remember he's another one that had no problem roughing up the media, too. Yeah, since Tony's not live, we'll stick around a few minutes. Got a good crowd in here. Stick around a little while longer and then we'll wrap up for the evening. Unfinished Project said Mike Tyson was only paid $50,000 to star in the 1987 Nintendo video game Punch Out. Considering that was the height of his boxing career, this may have been a misstep on his part. He got a better deal than Warner Brothers got for licensing the Roadrunner. And you don't know what kind of success it's going to have after. I mean, it's easy for us to look back at that and say, yeah, that'd have been a pile of money. Mexican Spec's going to crash out for the night. Later, man. Dakota said, "I'd take 50,000 for that silly stuff." Well, they wouldn't offer you 50,000, but Wikipedia says 96. Okay. Again, I don't know exactly. I just remember how shocked people were when he lost to James Buster Douglas. I do remember that very well. Yeah, people complain on pay per view and Tyson ended the fight in one round. Well, hey, he was there to win, right? NSB says 50 grand in 87 was a little more than it is today. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, that was a lot more money in 87. What would we estimate that is today's dollars? Seriously. At least like 125, maybe a little more, maybe 150 even. I'd say 125. Which, if you take that not only against inflation, but if you were to scale that up, it'd be probably more than that. Soda Popinski, yes. yeah, those villains in Punch Out have hilarious names. Don Flamenco, and Glass Joe, and Von Kaiser. You see, yeah, Glass Joe. Glass Joe had nothing for Mopar Joe. Okay, Dakota's got us some numbers here. Yeah, we're right on. Yeah, Dakota said 50,087 is 138,799.10. So I was between 125 and 150. So yeah, Dakota, that number doesn't work. Oh, I see what you did there. 2.8 average inflation, but you mean 2.8% a year, I'm assuming, and that's 2024. Okay. Right, but you got to keep them all that time, Danny Boyd. That's why not everyone did it. Part of the reason why. The salmon, yeah, I remember all that. It was interesting. No hawk too many tacos a day. I'm still hurting. Danny Boyd, cast a ballot. I'm casting my 5th ballot against inflation in November. Right. Well, the formatting made that goofy, but I think what you meant, or what it was said and didn't get transcribed, was from 87 to 2024 space, and then it's 2.8% per year. I think that math probably works out about right or close to it. But yeah, 138,000, that's right. Regardless, it did considerably better than that, and it was a far better deal for Nintendo than Tyson, I would think. Piston Honda, yes. Yes. That's right. That's right. It's always funny. King Hippo, yeah. It's a funny one. Thumper says, I was buying cheap muscle cars in the 80s. Still have most of them. No plans to sell. Cool. Thumper says, what's your favorite scary movie? Mine is Showgirls. Well, I don't know about the umbrella of scary movie. I would say mine probably has to be Halloween 1. To beat Tyson, you had to avoid him for the first 130. I would say that's as true today as it was then. Unfinished project. I would say that's spot on for 2024. I've actually never seen Kingpin One Eyed Cat. Heard about the bowling ball return thing, but I've never seen the movie. Danny Boyd says he remembers in Halloween Jamie Lee Curtis was driving a 77-ish Monte Carlo. I don't particularly remember that. Remember Michael Myers was driving a station wagon. And I think that wagon, somebody's actually preserved and saved that very wagon, I believe. Now, that sounds about like you, Thumper. Of course, I'm not into any kind of modern movie, really. I kind of get this thing. Do I want to see that new Ghostbusters are coming out with now? I'm like, yeah, kind of do, but it's all the CGI and stuff. Eh. Coda says Kingpin's a good movie. Bill Murray, Woody Harrelson, Amish Community. Okay, I haven't seen it. Annie Boyd says I pretty much only watch old movies with cars in them. Yeah, that's good stuff. Wendy says I work at Dollar Tree and found out today some stuff is going up to $10. Freaking crazy thanks to Biden. I heard that Dollar Tree and Family Dollar are closing some stores. Dakota says, seems like modern movies have a political agenda to push. Oh, absolutely. The Hollywood is just eaten up with woke, and it really shows in a lot of movies. And they get hammered at the box office because they make a lot of crap people don't want to see. I mean, I thought that Ghostbusters reboot was ridiculous when they did the 4 women. I just thought, what a terrible idea. So I think the one they're doing now is probably what they should have done then. I mean, not everything can be re-engineered and woke, nor should it be. It's like Snow White and the 7 Dwarves. They're trying to socially engineer that. I'm like, come on, people. Appreciate it for what it is. Old McDonald's said, I heard a McDonald's meal could be $50 soon. No, it can't, because I don't know anybody who would pay that. So guess what? If no one will pay it, it's not. Number says not many good movies since 2019. I don't know. I can't think of a single movie of any description I've seen made in that time period from 2019 to now. Nothing. I do have one relatively modern movie. Yes, this. Russell Crowe, Unhinged. What year was it? I call it modern. 2020. There you go. Got to be the most modern movie I have right here. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's kind of like a movie just about road rage getting kind of nutty, but it's okay. Thumper says, have you noticed Hollywood's been remaking stuff? Yeah, well, of course. There's a reason for that. The old stuff was good. It was better. Fast and the Furious. I actually like the first Fast and Furious. If you can get over the whole import and Ricer thing, it's actually a good movie. I mean, they sequeled it to death, but I mean, I thought the first one was a worthy movie. Yes, there's lots of utter ridiculousness in it. I agree, but it's a good one. 300. I have seen 300. Oh man, dude, I used to work out with. Loved that movie. Oh my gosh, it is a good movie. But I think it was like his battle cry. Hey Dakota, why don't you pitch the movie a guy in his 74 Pontiac Trans Am going to Sykeston? That's a movie for you. Dust Devil, I hear that about the John Wick movies. I got friends that tell me that about the John Wick movies. I've not seen any of them. I agree with you, Dakota. I'm not into the Rice thing, but I think it was a good movie. Unfinished Project said, I felt that movie sucked and hated Russell Crowe. It wasn't a great movie, nowhere near the top of Russell Crowe's list, but he played it well. He really did. He played that part well. I can't dock him for that. It was too righteous and ghetto, I agree. Still a good movie. I've never seen the John Wick stuff. Maybe I will. I don't know. That definitely is the only movie I've gotten this decade. 2020, just barely. Okay, so this is the question I kind of had in the back of my mind. Tony's Hot Rod Garage says John Wick 3 and 4 are beyond ridiculously fake. Okay, so it jumped the shark after the second one, right? Oh, Dakota, where's your sense of adventure? Big Mike says it seems like any new series starts out okay and then it goes woke and then it goes off. Yeah. Dakota says, Thumper, where are you at? I'd really like to make a movie. Well, that might not even be safe. No, Thumper, Dakota, if you think that Sykeston's a long drive. Thumper's like almost at the North Pole. There you go. 775 miles straight north of Sykeston. There you go. Okay, well, if Tony liked 1 and 2, then 1 and 2 are probably worth seeing. I will say this, though. When I watch a movie, yes, I see all of the bad gun handling and lack of training. I see all that, but that doesn't take away from my enjoyment of it. Is the gun handling just the worst of the worst in the Clint Eastwood movies like Dirty Harry and Magnum Force? Yes, it's absolutely atrocious. But I understand that's Hollywood. I also understand it's the 70s, so it doesn't bother me. Some people, it bothers them and they can't enjoy the movie. No, I can enjoy it for what it is. It's just like Fast and Furious. You can enjoy it for what it is. The video, you're going through the engine and the 4-wide racing, with them spun up, for a whole minute at RP. How long is that track? Yeah, if we're real technical about it, you can dock Fast and Furious. Oh, the fake Charger wheel stand, all of that stuff just looks completely fake. I get it, but I can appreciate it for being a movie and drama. Rick Salmon says the last good movie was American Graffiti. I agree with that. Never seen an unfinished project. I think that's you. Buff Del Campo drove from Oregon for No Name Nationals in 2022. Yep, I talked to Buff like right before he left. Thumper has a hard time watching car military movies because he noticed. Yeah, I get it. Although I will say it does stand out for me. I will notice it does stand out when I watch a movie where the gun handling is really good, which, there's a few, but not most of the time it's bad, but there's sometimes a few when it's really good, it stands out. This Devil Garage says movies are supposed to be fake. I don't want to watch a movie about a CNC machinist who goes to work every day and dies. I get that. Dakota likes White Lightning with Burt Reynolds. I've heard the same that Ford versus Ferrari is good unfinished project. I've heard that. I've not seen it. I've heard that. So you'll like the first two, John? Yeah, okay. Thumper says 8 Mile is 8 hours from me. You have to drive 8 hours to go to a horribly cold northern place. You have to drive 8 hours south to get there. Wow. Yeah, everybody likes Ford versus Ferrari. Okay. I'd rather watch The Machinist than some purple-haired fool. Okay, well, The Machinist was a movie with Christian Bale. I've never seen it, but I know that it exists. Bad Tree Blake says Hank Hill was highly accurate with the propane stuff. He's definitely CTP certified. Blake would know. Right on. I was watching a YouTube video. I think it was the legal something. I can't remember the name of the channel, but anyway, he was reviewing My Cousin Vinny for its legal accuracy, and he says it's surprisingly legally accurate. That's what he said. I thought that was interesting. Dexter says Thunder Road, old black and white whiskey runner movie. Robert Mitchum gets into trouble every time he lights a cigarette in the movie. Okay. I knew a guy who was a cop, and he said every time you pull over a car, it's got a bunch of people in it. One of them lights up a cigarette. He said that's the one that's going to have the warrant. Because I know they're getting ready to go to jail and light up a cigarette. Dakota says Gator was a sequel directed by Burt Reynolds. Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never seen Gator. Big Mike said it's been a great visit. Y'all have a great night. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, we're out of time, actually. I was going to go a half hour over because Tony wasn't live and we're just hanging out, but I'm going to call it an evening anyway myself. So I appreciate y'all coming and hanging out. Real quick, I will plug that 2 weeks from tonight, March 29th, we're going to be having a live stream that is just for the folks who are, it's specific, anybody's welcome, but it's specifically for the folks who are looking to say, what's the No Name Nationals about? What are the classes like, the cars, the No Name 500, registering, all these type of questions. What's camping like there? What's the flow of the day? All that kind of stuff. Danny Boy says, Hal Needham was the man. Yes, he was. And Lars put up the link to register for the No Name Nationals. So if you still have not registered for the 3rd annual AHRA No Name Nationals, you can register right there at Lars's link. It's in 187 days and 1 hour and 28 minutes. So if you want to join the fun and register, go right ahead. Registrations keep coming in. We got a great crowd coming back this year, and I know I'm looking forward to it. And with that, guys, we're going to call it an evening. And y'all have a great evening, and I'll see you at the latest by next Friday. Take care.